So for Ludum 31, I teamed up with my two Brazilian friends again, Daniel and Diego, with whom I've collaborated in the past 2 LD jams making Infection and This Little Piggy. The theme this time around was entire game on one screen, and as per usual we had a long Skype call to try come up with some awesome ideas. We eventually managed to come up with 2 contenders, a strange little game where you sort of play as a spider on top of a computer monitor, and also a 2-player cooperative puzzle platformer with a sort of very zoomed out view. Eventually we came to the conclusion that the spider idea was probably a little bit dumb, so we went for the platformer idea instead. On the first day I had 5 hours of power outage, so I couldn't get all that much done, but I did manage to create a nice little player controller which could sort of jump around, and also a cool security camera effect where the line of sight would be obscured by obstacles, and also just a bunch of sort of back-end stuff. The next day spirits were running pretty low. Daniel was doing his best to motivate everyone, but the fact was that we'd achieved very little thus far, and we'd also just come to the conclusion that in order to fit the amount of stuff on the screen that we wanted, the characters were going to have to be pretty much microscopic. So another Skype session was called for, and despite it already being about 28 hours into the game jam, we decided to scrap everything and go for the damn spider idea instead. While we were chatting, Daniel doodled a bit of concept art for the game, and by the end of the call we were actually feeling pretty excited about the idea. I expected the hardest part to get right would be the fly behavior, so I started with that first. Essentially how it worked in the end was that the fly would try to go in a straight line to the target, but it was continually being offset by a random sine wave, the strength of which would sort of decrease as the fly neared its target. Daniel had meanwhile begun work on creating the spider and its associated rig, which to me looks rather a lot more terrifying than the spider itself, to be honest. But Daniel knows what he's doing, and he soon had it all working and ready to animate. When it was done, he sent it to me and I started work implementing it while he got some rest. I also worked on the intro sequence where one would be able to enter one's name onto the actual computer. So the next challenge was the spider's web attack. This was actually quite simple, though it was a bit of a sort of hacky approach. I used Unity's trail render to automatically draw a trail behind my web game object. And once the web had reached the target, I made it quickly sort of retrace its steps, and as the old trail vertices got deleted, I made the fly that it had captured retrace the web steps as well. I had another 5 hours of power outage on Sunday, but Daniel was hard at work creating a pretty badass computer model, and by the time I woke up the next morning he'd actually managed to create an entire scene, the fly models, and even programmed the intro Pong game. So yeah, Daniel's pretty great to work with. On Monday, I had to go to school for a physics exam, but after that I came home and created some camera animations, also changed the camera view to be slightly more top-down, as we found it was easier to control the spider from this view, and I also implemented some high scores. In the last 4 or 5 hours, Tiago, who had been otherwise occupied, managed to very quickly create some pretty awesome sound effects and music tracks for the game. And once those were implemented, the game was pretty much ready to be published. So, despite losing an entire day to a doomed platformer project and several hours more to power failures, busy schedules, a physics exam, and 5 hours spent trying to find a friend at the airport, we still managed to finish bugged out. And it's far from perfect, but yeah, we're very proud of it nonetheless. Alright, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out the other 3 behind the scenes videos that I have on my channel as well. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Cheers!